Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Social Avenue podcast. I'm your host, Sydney Encinas. And today I am so excited. We are here with Michaela Vanderlee.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you.
I've been wanting to be on your podcast since you started it, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
My little humble podcast.
I love it. It's cute.
Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Michaela. I am 23 years old, and I own a commission hair salon here in Tucson, Arizona. And I've been doing hair for 5 years, I think now. So
that's amazing. That was actually going to be one of my questions is, are you commission based or are you? That is so cool.
Yeah.
And you're only 23 years old.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So with this podcast today, I wanted to make it a little more specific, a little more kind of directed towards those people in the beauty industry who maybe are in salon life or potentially in a booth rental and really looking to make that pivot into salon ownership, because it can be freaking scary. I feel very comfortable in my salon suite right now. And so I'm actually really excited for this conversation because I feel like, I've been doing hair for 10 years. You're very new, I feel like, too, in the industry. 5 years, that's like pretty great. But like to have salon ownership and to be so successful, I'm just so intrigued by like, how did you do it? How are you getting on? Like what is the secret? What is the step-by-step? So today we're really going to dive in with Michaela and kind of get down to the nitty-gritty and see how she did it, because you are so freaking impressive. I'm really excited.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk about it.
So tell me, where did you get your start in the beauty industry? How did it all begin with you?
I feel like for the start of it is kind of weird. I never had I was into the beauty stuff, but I was more so into makeup and fashion, but like for fun, not for like job-wise. I didn't think that was an option. And I actually always knew I wanted to own a business. That was that passion was first. And then I did cosmetology school while I was in high school. And I was like, I'll do it while I'm
did the JTED.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know. I never thought you could make a livable income on it. I don't know why.
And it was
and it was different at the time too. Services weren't what they are now. And so I was like, I'll do it while I'm in college, get a real job, and then move on,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I graduated high school, got my cosmetology license, and just started doing hair. And then once you kind of get into the world, you learn about all the different options. You could educate, you could own a salon.
100%.
It's not just hair all the time. And I learned the income potential and what you can do. And I fell in love with it. And I was doing college at the same time for a year. And I was like, no, I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to stop going to school.
Yeah, dude, that was same thing. It was so scary.
It was. And my mom was very much from the time of, you go to college, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful.
That's
and
right.
So that pressure was scary, but I'm like, no, I can do it. I don't want to go to school, get business degree loans so I can get a degree and then have to take out loans for the business. Let me just put all...
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
I was like, I can just figure it out along the way and put all that money towards the business, not the schooling and then the business, because then you're doubled in debt. And that being in debt has always scared me. And so that was honestly my thought process. And I fell in love with doing hair and the extensions of it and learning how much more fun it is than what I saw from the little salons I had always gone to, Then I fell in love with both of them at the same time. And
being in the industry can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. And I thought it was you before, and that's how school presents it to you. It's you get this, you're going to do gray root touch-up, men's cuts, pixie cuts, and you either work at a commission salon or your booth rent, and then that's it for the rest of your life. That's what it felt like my options were, and I was like, that's not fun.
You're I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I was like, I actually can't do a pixie cut, so this might not be the career for me.
Well, and for me too, I'm I love your kids. I'll give them a squeeze, but I cannot. I do not like to do kids cuts.
Me either.
Yeah. Or I do very limited men's cuts too. I have 2-3 men guests that I love them. So I'm I'll still do your hair.
The people you can't let go.
I can't let go of them. They're sweethearts. Yeah. So I'm okay, I'll do those men's cuts. But in general, I'm I don't do men's cuts. I don't do kids cuts. But that's what gives you the freedom. You have that freedom when you become your own, business owner.
Yeah.
So, okay, you did JTED.
Yes.
Then you graduated, you went to college, and then what was did you work in a salon as a commissioned stylist before everything? Take us through that.
I did. So the first salon I worked at was actually Ulta.
No way!
Yeah.
You were like cutting hair at Ulta?
Yeah.
Cool.
It was like one of the easier ones to get into. I
Yeah.
started looking for a job right after I graduated in May. I honestly think I even started applying like before I graduated.
Yeah.
Nowhere ever got back to me because no one wants you because you don't have experience, but no one's also going to give you the experience. And like co-stylist programs didn't exist. That was like not a thing.
Yeah.
So I was really holding out. I was not going to go to like a Great Clips or anything because I didn't want to do cuts. I
No.
needed like at least color. So I was like, oh, I could do Ulta. And they hired me on and just kind of threw me to the wolves. And
Yeah, that's how you got to learn, unfortunately.
yeah, and it was scary at times. And I worked at Ulta for 5 months, I think. I started there in November, and then the following year was COVID. So
Oh, God.
they had all closed, and I wasn't a high performer at the time. So then once a month and a half later, once they started bringing people back, I wasn't one of the ones to get brought back. I was like still in limbo.
Still so new. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like wasn't loving it. I would cry, and it just like wasn't fun. And
Yeah.
the clients were like not my dream clients, so I was just like really struggling with it, and I wasn't making money, and I was gonna quit. Like I was like, I can't do this job. I was making like $300 every 2 weeks,
Yeah, fuck that.
and I was like, this isn't a job. Like I can't live off of
You're
this.
like, my mom was right. I can't make money in this
I
industry.
know. I was like, I cannot let her be right.
Yeah.
And so I got scared and I was like, I might just quit this and find something else. So I was staying in school. And then after COVID, I had like, I think it was 2 months off. I like didn't do anything. And then after that, I got a job at a coffee shop, and salons were reopening. So I also started applying. And so then I applied at like a smaller local salon here and also applied at a coffee shop. And I was like, I'm just going to do both. So I at least always have money. And then if it's like failing, I'm still getting paid.
Yeah, you're a hustler. That's crazy.
It
to
was-
have 2 jobs like that.
it was
Just
insane.
because like working in a salon is so demanding, not just physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not given enough credit. I swear. Like people who work in salons, like working with the public, laying hands on them, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of energy.
And then especially during COVID, like when it all started,
Oh,
like
yeah, and
all the
COVID.
emotional trauma that people were like going through. And it was like, that was also when people switched and everyone talked about politics and like their feelings on everything. And so it was like
That's hard.
so many feelings and emotions all day when I like first started on all different ends of the spectrum. And I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah. You're like,
I'm just a
am I signing
girl."
up for this for life?
I
I'm
know.
just a girl.
I'm like, let's just make you cute today.
Yeah. Can I just wash your hair?
I know. Like, shh. Let's just talk about fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then it really shows the power of a good service, you know, even just a shampoo blow dry. You know, you can really change somebody's day, somebody's week. Like, we're day makers.
And that's like what people were craving in that moment, I think, because we closed because of the COVID thing. So, I mean, everyone was culling their hair at home, cutting their bangs. Like, people were craving that salon thing. And so whenever there was the emotional part of it, but it was also good emotion. And like all of these people were coming in because they wanted to be here. It wasn't like a quick service to them. They wanted the experience. And it was then that I fell in love with doing hair and like how much of an impact it can make and like how much people like need it, you know, and like want that emotional connection in the service and like just to leave feeling beautiful. Like it changed their life for them in that time.
amazing.
And so that's like really when I feel like I fell in love for like the doing hair aspect of it.
Yeah. So, okay, you're working at a coffee shop, you're working at this salon.
Yeah.
And was this a commissioned salon that you're working
Yes.
at?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I worked there and I did both of those for probably 5 or 6 months, I think. I was literally working 7 days a week. I would do the coffee shop in all of my off times. And I was a co-stylist there. So 3 days out of the week, I would assist in taking clients. And then I'd get off at 3, race over to the coffee shop and work there from till like 11 when they closed because I was always a closer.
What coffee shop?
Dutch Bros.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Fast pace. Yeah.
Fast paced, and you have to be like,
Talk to them. You have to
Cracked
hang
out.
out of the window.
Yeah.
How's your morning going? You're like, or how's your evening going? Oh my God. Sometimes I'm
Literally.
like, please just give me the coffee first. Let me just even take a sip and then ask me how my
Yeah.
evening's going or morning or whatever.
but you're so like, it's so funny from working there, you're literally just cracked out being there. Like, it's not forced. Like, I always thought it was weird too. And then you get there and you're like, hi, how are you? Like,
It's because there's such high energy and like
Yeah.
you are who you surround yourself
Yeah.
with. And that is like, well, are you taking shots of espresso back? That's what I hear. That's like the rumor. It's
They
like,
do. I didn't. No, but they would take the Red Bulls drinks and they would pop it and like I forget what that's called, where they drink the whole thing.
Shotgun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They would all do that together in a group. I don't like bubbly drinks, so I wouldn't
You're like,
partake. I would just make myself a little latte.
Yeah.
But no, it was crazy because everyone could have them for free, and they would do it like multiple times a day. So they were cracked out. Like,
dang. Okay,
on
well
the
that
energy
explains
drinks.
it. The rumors are true. Everybody, they're cracked out of touch.
they really are. It was crazy.
So crazy.
So yeah, doing hair and doing that, and I did it for on top of assisting those 3 days, I also took clients on all the other days that she didn't work except for Sundays. So all of my days looked like that. And then Sunday was my only day off at the salon, but I always usually opened at Dutch Bros. So
you did all of this for 5 months.
yeah.
So at this point, you've gotten about a year's experience behind the chair outside of JTED.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What happened after the 5 months?
I was starting to get busy taking clients, and I was starting to book out. I only had like 2 or 3 days open to take clients, but they were full, and so I would have rather have taken from 3 to 7, do a full highlight, then go to Dutch Bros. I'd wanted just the one, and then have my Sunday for free. So, yeah, I decided it was time to pull that cord and quit. And because I was making enough too to supplement it, so I was like, I just got to go all in. So then I quit Dutch Bros and then started taking clients on any chance I could, and then that just like took off, and I just did that for.
And are you still at the same salon at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was still there, and I still assisted, and I had to assist almost the entire time I worked there, just with the way it kind of worked. So I was still assisting and taking clients on all the extra times, and it just booked. I started getting booked, and I was posting on social media and like really diving into that.
You do really well on social media. I admire you. Your page is very aesthetically pleasing. Like I go and I feel like, you know, the feeling when you walk into a bedroom that's been freshly cleaned and everything just looks so decorated, or it just like, that's how I feel when I go to your Instagram. I'm like, oh, it feels nice here and cozy and clean, and I love it.
That's the
Fashion
goal.
forward.
Yeah, that's the goal, to create like, I love aesthetics. I like it to look pleasing. Like I try to do it the way I would want to look for it, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time too, that's also what helped. Social media really had a boom in 2020.
100%.
So I just rode the wave and went with it, started posting. I would do all the little tutorials and all. I was like eat, live, breathing social media, and it just took off, and I got super booked and busy, and I did that for the next year up until June. And it was great. I was busy. I got certified in extensions before I quit Dutch Bros.
Did you go through, what certification did you get?
Jay-Z Styles.
Jay-Z Styles. What class did you go to at first?
At the time, she had her 2 things separate. So she like had come to Phoenix. So I did like the 2 days to do the regular and the hidden bead.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did that in like September, I think, of that year in 2020. And so then I started doing extensions and started getting into that. And just did hair, color, extensions, and just like eat, lived, breathed it for the next 9 months, I think, till June. And then I have always hated Tucson. Like, hate it.
We're like, get out. No, I hate Tucson too.
I just don't.
It's just kind of hot. Like this past year, I was like, this past summer, I was like, why is it so hot? Actually, I don't know if it's like, am I getting older? I did a bikini competition a couple months ago, and I was like, am I irritable? What is it? It's just, I didn't know. Maybe I was like deprived of food and like pissed at the heat, or was it, I don't know what it was, but this year I'm like, oh my God, it is way too hot to live here.
So hot. And then I'm silly and think I want to live up in Phoenix where it's 10 degrees hotter.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a better life.
I have a better, hotter life.
Yeah. So after that, So I've always hated it here. I've told my mom since I was 12, I'm getting out.
Yeah.
Well, then I was like, oh, if I get comfortable here, like I'm making good money, I'm going to get too comfy. With the money I make, I'm not going to leave, because when you move, you just drop it all and start over.
It's true.
So scary. And so those thoughts started coming into my brain. I was like, if I got to go, I got to go now. And so Phoenix, the 10 degrees. Oh, it's 10 degrees. Like,
you moved to Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, I got to go. I got to do it. Like, I can't get too comfortable. Yeah. So I found a salon up there that I wanted to, and the salon up there, I feel like had all of the things I wanted that I wasn't getting at my previous salon. And I was like, I feel like this feels like the right thing. And I ended up getting the job. And I was like, I'm going to go. So I moved. And I had family friends I could stay with, so I didn't pay for rent. I didn't have to get an apartment.
Good. Oh, it worked out.
No, it was like all meant to happen. So yeah, I move up there and I go and I start working at this new salon. And the salon was amazing. I just wasn't happy. And like, no matter what it was I tried, I just like literally was not happy. And like, I was like, this is everything I wanted. I've like followed that salon for months and was like, that's where I want to work. And I wasn't happy. I was all alone. I like couldn't get my nails done because I worked all the time. And I was like, never got into a routine of like content. And I literally drove home every single weekend for the weekend to see my boyfriend.
That's how you know. Oh, you left your boyfriend. You're like,
I did.
See ya.
I did. He was mad. And I was like, I'll get our life started up there and then you can follow after I'm like making money and consistent.
Smart.
I had a plan, but I was like, I gotta go. Like, this is what I've always wanted. Everyone gave me like going away stuff and like
You had like a whole party and then you came back.
Oh yeah, 2 months later.
Know what? I'm just gonna stop you right there because when you're a Band-Aid ripper, that's what I call people who just like do it. That's probably why you make such a good salon owner and why like jumping into business decisions, like you did it. You're like, I think I want to try this, and you rip the Band-Aid and you do it. That's how you have to experience life, in my opinion. You know, you just have to go for it because otherwise you're sitting there picking at it like, I don't, and then you never do it.
Yeah.
And then you regret, you know?
And that's what I was always worried about. Like, what if I do get comfortable and get too deep into it? And like, so I did it. I was like, I just have to know. I can always come back home. Like, I can always come back. Like, it's not that far. It'll be okay. Yeah. And I told myself I'd give it a year. I was like, after a year, then if I want to come back, I'll come back. It'll be fine. It'll be chill, whatever. A month and a half in, I ended up getting COVID. And so I was out of the salon for like 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I literally sat there and planned out my business. Like, I would even come home from work.
Awesome.
Like, I pre-started it in the first month. Like, I was like, oh, I'll make my booking site. I'll make my prices. I like did little things every night. That was like my hobby. And I was like, I gotta go. I'm not happy. I want to go back. I want to be making money again. Like,
and you already had a clientele back in Tucson.
Yeah, and
that
I was
you
like,
could go to.
And I was like, ooh, if I give it a year, they'll all have new hairstylists. If I go back in 2 months, they'll be due for maintenance appointments. So I'll just snatch them right back. Yeah, I was like, they got to come back. So that's why I went after 2 months. So I literally lived there from like July to end of August.
Did anybody from Tucson follow you up to Phoenix by chance?
I never got to take clients there. I was just assisting. And then
I see. I see.
So I restarted over to, that was also the other thing why I wasn't happy. I like was an assistant for the whole entire year before at the previous salon. I knew I was getting into an assisting role.
In Phoenix.
And then it just like, I felt like it was delaying me, and I had one client call that was like gonna come to me, and she had him on like a list for me whenever I did open up to take clients, but I never got to take clients up there. So
okay, so you move back. And this is when Lovely Salon starts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you had COVID for 2 weeks, and you sat in that time when everything was down. You were kind of forced to just sit and think about your life, think about your business, and you essentially created a business plan for Lovely.
Yeah.
And then you went back to Tucson. Now, that's freaking incredible. Number one, I just kind of love how like God did that to you. He slowed you all the way down and was like, hey, I need you to like really think about what you want.
Yeah.
And look what you did in that time that like you had to sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
That was so important because look at your life now.
I know. It like, I think it was literally all meant to happen. I don't regret moving to Phoenix ever.
No.
Like, it all happened the way it was supposed to, because I think if I would have never have moved to Phoenix, I wouldn't be here today.
No, 100%.
I needed that, like, I needed to leave, and then the other one I wasn't emotionally attached to, so I could easily leave that and, like, do what I wanted. So, yeah, the moment I tested negative for COVID, I called, I was like, let me see this suite. I need to come look at it.
Oh my. Okay, so now let's go through making that pivot into, okay, I'm going to be a business owner. How did you go about laying out the things that you needed to do? And like, what was essentially step one for you after the business plan?
Yeah. I think it felt really easy because the salon I was at before, the second salon that I was at for like the year, we were like 1099 commission. So I bought all my own product. I bought all those my own things, and I like,
really?
Yeah. So I just got paid like, I got paid my commission, so I had to manage it for taxes and all of that. So I already did a lot of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like almost as a booth renter, I just never paid rent. And so I did all of that. So it felt really easy, and I still had money sitting in that account from when I would do it because I would save up my money to buy color, and so I could always keep a stock. I had literally $3,000 in that account, and I was like, I'll just wipe it. Like,
yeah, I'm going to start this thing.
Yeah, so I ordered I went and toured it, ordered all my furniture, and had it delivered to my mom's house while I was like in my last week of work at the other salon. And I had done most of it on my own. So, and I made all my pricing like what I had it at before. I just tweaked it a little bit the way I had issues with it. I tweaked those little things and just left it kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Made my little Square booking site, and I reached out to some people and like offered them $25 off their first service back and filled up.
That is so incredible. I'm so impressed. That's really, really
crazy.
cool. So how did you go about finding your suite?
I had looked at 2 different ones here in town. I had seen the building driving by it before, but I'd never been inside. And I ended up getting one at the salon shops over on Grant and Tinkerverde. I was over there. But I looked at another one that was on the other side of town, but it had a lease, and I did not want a lease.
Okay, we're going to dive a little more into that because I'm so intrigued. We'll be right back after this message.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
Calling all families. The Marana Pumpkin Patch is your ticket to fall fun for everyone. From toddlers to grandparents. We've got it all. Jumping pillows, a diesel train, a super slide, and more. Kids will love our farm animals, while adults will love our famous corn maze. And don't forget our 70-acre pumpkin patch from Post Farms. Marana Pumpkin Patch, where families make unforgettable fall memories. Tickets available now at maranapumpkinpatch.com.
Okay, so we were talking about the space and how you found it and just kind of the ones that you were looking at.
Yeah. So my biggest thing was, and I think I was just honestly scared of myself at that point because I had moved to Phoenix, came back. I was
You're
like,
am I like off my rocker? Like can I trust myself? Which I feel like it built trust within yourself by doing things like that and like following your gut, you know?
Yeah, I just knew I had to go all in. And so I made sure I had no like legal binding commitment. I picked somewhere where I could be month to month in case it goes down south. I was like, gonna be good. And so
that's a really smart thing to do. Make sure it's month to month.
Yeah.
Especially when starting out.
Yeah, I needed that like not locked in thing. Because I was like, what if I can't pay the rent, you know? Because rent was $330 a week. And so
$330 a week. Okay, and so is this at Isola? This is at Isola Space, right?
It's something similar, but it's like a locally owned one.
Okay. What was the square footage on that?
It was a 12 by 12 room, I think.
Okay. So this is you just working on your own, right? This isn't you've introduced employees yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So going into it, I knew because I'd already done kind of the managing of the finances and certain things from being that type of commission that going in there, I was like, okay, I need to build this foundation in here. And so like I'm working in the foundation and can find like the cracks of it, and then we can expand from there. Like
I
wanted
love that.
I wanted to have like everything set up business wise
that.
once I was in there to then grow on. And so I worked in there by myself for, honestly, don't even remember how long. It was a while.
Like years?
No, it was like a year, if anything.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Yeah, you're a fast mover. You're a fast learner. You absorb. You're like, and I'm moving to the next thing.
I know.
I love that.
I have this issue where like right now I'm living what I wanted 3 months ago, but I'm already thinking about like the next 3 months. Like,
I mean, that's growth though, you know?
I know. Sometimes I'm like, maybe you should slow down a little bit. Take a chill pill. Look at the roses.
Enjoy. Look at the roses.
Yeah. So I think it was within the first year of being in there, I decided to bring someone on, and
Just an assistant. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're still in the solo salon at this point. Okay. Got
yeah.
it.
And so I just kept growing everything business-wise, trying to open all the things business-wise, and then working with an assistant and like navigating that and how I want to do that. And definitely wasn't perfect the first time around.
How was the assistant thing? Like, how did you decide what you were going to pay her? Like, how often you were going to need her? And like, service ticket, like, where did you need to be at in order to like say to yourself, I need an assistant right now? To like, how did you know it was going to be worth it? You know what I mean?
It was scary. I made sure my pay was at least $1 above minimum wage because from the last places I've worked, I was getting paid $1 above minimum wage. So I was like, okay, that seems normal. I'll do that. So I did that, and then
That's what you paid your assistant. Okay.
yeah, whatever minimum wage was, it was like $1 above it. And then the rest of it, I just kind of like figured out. Like
Yeah.
I was pretty booked and busy. And I knew that there was like extra money. Oh, the other thing I did too, I was only ever paying myself 40% commission. So I paid myself as if I was a commission employee of my business. So I would leave the 60% for the business and like.
Oh my God, that is so smart.
Yeah, I was like, that can save all the extra money, so I'm not having to do it. And
Because you knew that you wanted to open something bigger. So, that's so good.
yeah, I always knew bigger was the intention. So
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure. My thing too is we all want to make six figures.
That's right.
So my goal was to do it myself at 40% commission. So I knew it was possible on commission.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, and so how many days a week are you working at this point?
I think when I first started there, I maybe worked 5, but I brought it down to 4.
Okay.
At some point within the first year because I was consistent and I was busy and I was growing my extension clientele. So I brought it down to 4. And I knew I wanted our structure to be 4 days a week for everybody. So I was like, okay, I'm going to knock off a day and like make it 4 days a week and see what happens with that and like make sure that it's possible.
And are you working like a open to close, like a 9 to 5 or like,
Yeah.
what do you, okay.
Yeah, just 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then Saturdays, I think, were 9 to 5 too. And I probably did every other Saturday in the beginning or every Saturday in the beginning, but I've knocked them back
To every
now.
other.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay. So you worked there for a bit. Now, this is the part where there's a lot of people who are kind of like this is me personally. Like I'm in my space. I've been there for I think like 5 years now. I've been working kind of in my own suite. I was with 2 other girls, so we all kind of worked together, had our own little separate businesses. And then I made that pivot and started working in a spot by myself. And kind of gained that sort of trust within Sydney, like, oh, can I manage this alone? You know, what happens when like my back's against the wall or if I need some color, you know, I wanted to see if I could do it by myself, not depending on anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's just how you build that trust with yourself, you know? And so how you're here, you've got your assistant, you're kind of navigating all of that. At what point are you like, I want to get a building. I want to get a standalone because that's what you're in currently, right? With Lovely Salon.
Yeah.
Talk about that jump.
That part was probably the hardest. That was probably the biggest struggle ever. I started looking, I think I opened my suite in 2021, I think. In
The Sola.
Yeah. It's like September of 2021. I started looking, I think the following December, so 2022. And they're so expensive. They need renovations. And I also didn't have a team. So like it would have been me paying
just
for
you.
it all.
Yeah.
So there's the gamble of, do you get something that you can't afford, fill it and hire it real quick, or do you get something you can? And then the Tucson buildings here are just
Yeah, dude. It's hard because then you think like, did you look on your own or did you hire like a commercial real estate agent to help you out and just say like, hey, this is the square footage I want. This is my setup. It's like that type of thing. Or did you look by yourself?
a little bit of both. I looked by myself. Like I would get on those like websites like LoopNet,
Craigslist. I've had a few
Yeah.
salon or a few owners who are like, oh, I found it off of Craigslist. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I would look myself. If I saw buildings as I was driving by, I would look. And like I tried to talk with one agent that my nail lady used, but they never took you seriously. And that's the problem.
That is the freaking problem. Literally,
Yeah.
I've talked to maybe a few commercial real estate agents, and you just kind of get pushed by the wayside. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, is it because I'm just a hairdresser, or is it because I'm a girl, or what? I'm like, told my husband, I'm like, maybe you should call because maybe they'll take you a little bit more serious than me. But
Yeah.
I have literally experienced that same struggle.
And I think a lot of them end up working with big businesses that have like big budgets.
Yeah,
and
maybe it's more worth their while.
And that's like what I think it is. And like, it just sucks when you're a small business trying to start. And like, how do you find your start? It was like almost the same feelings when you're trying to get into doing hair at the beginning. It's that same type of feeling, just in a different world because no one takes you seriously. You don't have like the big bank account to fund it. Like, so you either would have to do a loan or like have the money there, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, do you want a partnership? Do you want this? Like, maybe that'll help. And I'm like, no, I want it to be me. And like, I don't want
It's
help.
it's just hard when you and it's not even like an ego thing, like I don't want help. It's more of like a when shit hits the fan type of thing. I don't want to be mad at anybody else. I want to not be mad at myself, but I want the only person to be held accountable be me. You
And
know
I
what
also don't want to get screwed over by someone else.
Correct.
That's scary
yes, everybody
too.
else has their own life, and yeah.
So that was honestly probably the biggest hurdle in opening a salon because I couldn't find anywhere to go. Like nowhere to go, nowhere we could afford. Like all these new spaces are like an insane amount of month in rent, and I had no one else bringing in money, so it was all on me.
You have to like make sure because you at that point had planned on, okay, I'm going to open this spot. I'm going to have employees, but I need to make sure that I can do it on my own in case, you know, there's a couple months gap where I don't hire anybody or, you know, people quit. You have to account for that too. It's like maybe it goes really good for a year and then somebody quits and wants to, you know, do the same thing you are doing, you know, which is great, but you just have to account for that financially.
Yeah. And I also made sure one of the biggest things I was big on is making sure I always got a personal paycheck. The business money and my money have always been two separate entities.
So smart.
And I'm like an employee of the business. And so like if I'm taking services, I don't want to dock my pay because that also does affect me being able to pay my mortgage, pay for food, pay all of those things.
Yes. That's crazy. It's because you have two buildings you're paying for. You're paying for your home and then you're paying for, you know, your business. It's
And
just two
stuff
different
hits
lives.
the fan. There's two. So this one needs to be obtainable and like okay to add in while I also have a house to pay for. So it was scary.
Because it's not, how much were you paying at Sola?
At the time, like $1,300 a month.
So weekly, did you have to pay weekly or they had you pay monthly?
Paid weekly. And then, but every time I added on an employee, my rent would go up.
Really? At Sola?
Yeah, well, it wasn't a Sola, so hers was different. But yeah, she would up my rent weekly.
That's weird.
It was weird. So
That is very weird.
my rent got really high at a certain point once I had like 3 people in there. So
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm at Phoenix Salon Suites and they don't do that. It's kind of like, which I really love the whole business model of, you know, having that gigantic building and just renting out suites and, you know, here's your room. You pay me a weekly rate and you can make as much money as you want in your room and there you go.
Yeah.
I love that business concept because
Me
it
too.
gives beauty professionals the freedom, which is what we want. We're artists, we're business owners. Like we don't want to be told what to do. It's probably why you pivoted out of salon life.
Yeah.
Because you want to just kind of go off on your own and do your own thing.
yeah.
Okay, so then how did you find a space? You're
I know.
You're trying to find the space.
Yeah.
You're going through all these places. You feel so discouraged. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, to be honest, is like I'm looking for spaces and it's just an insane high rent.
Yeah.
You know?
I looked at a bunch of different things, and I ended up finding a space, signing a lease, paying all the deposits, and we won't go into all the details of that, but
Yeah.
that was fishy. It never happened. So the salon was actually supposed to open last October, and it didn't. I had to end up back out of that lease.
Did you lose all that money?
I did, except they one day randomly sent me a check with like half of it. But it was a whole huge debacle. Because I thought I had found a space. They agreed to adding in the plumbing for me, and like my rent just went up a little bit, and my rent was still lower than what I was paying at the salon suite. Because when I was in my suite,
Good.
by adding on all my employees, and I had moved us to bigger rooms because I had brought on 2 employees at the time, 2 co-stylists.
Oh, it went up because you were moving into different rooms.
But I
moved
also
to
brought on people, so it went up because of that too.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
at one point, I was paying like $2,700 a month for
Oh my God, yeah.
slightly bigger bedroom.
Get a building.
Yeah. So then the rent, I was like going to still be cheaper than what I was paying for the suite, and it was like the perfect fit. They were the first place to agree to these terms and like getting it up and ready, and I could afford to do all the other little things it needed. And it was like,
What was the square footage?
I think it was like 1,000.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was going to be a good size. We were
And
going
what
to
side of town?
It was going to be over off of like Broadway in Tucson.
It's good.
Yeah, it was
Central?
Thought it was all going to be good, and every month it just kept getting pushed back. And then they did all the work and never submitted for permits. And then the permits, when they finally said that they were going to get them, all got denied. And it was just like one of those things that, like, at a certain point, I just had a gut feeling that this wasn't it. Like, I was really excited. I had bought all the furniture. And they had let me store all the furniture in one of their open suites that they hadn't rented yet. So all of my like thousands of dollars of furniture in there. I even took out a small business loan just to like get the space up and perfect, and I would just pay off the little loan. Had it all ready to go, like to go in and get it done and opened in a month. And month to month again, like by like end of January this year, I was like, I can't do it. Like, this isn't right. So
Aren't you glad though
Yeah.
that you've ripped the Band-Aid so many times in your life prior to that you knew when to trust yourself?
Yeah.
Because so many people don't know how to recognize those feelings within themselves, and then they go through with it, and then it's a freaking disaster.
Yeah, and I knew when I really felt it was the right decision, when I was okay with losing my like
Money.
thousands of dollars in deposits that I had already put down. Like, I was like, honestly, this is so the right decision that even losing that money and setting us back, like, for a small business, thousands of dollars is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
So I was like, we'll lose it. Like, this isn't going to be right. They can't even get the work done now. What's it going to be like when I'm in there and like 5 issues? So
Oh, yeah.
I was all excited. I thought we found the space finally, and then it hit the fan. And then it was a weird thing coming to finding this space, because the space I'm in, I actually had toured like a year and a half before, but I looked at it and I was like, it's too small. It's not what I want. Like, I want bigger. I was kind of greedy. I was like, no, I can go bigger. I don't want this small one. And someone from the building that I was renting in had moved in there and taken that spot. So I thought it was out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. One day I was like thinking about the girl because I hadn't seen her post anything. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened to her. Like, I wonder if she's busy. And then I was in the car with our salon manager. We were going to get a drink or something. And she was like, oh, how is this girl? And I was like, why are you
God,
thinking?
I was just thinking about her.
Yeah. So we like drove past it, and I saw that her sign wasn't on the door anymore. And because she had just moved in a couple months ago.
Yeah.
We pulled in. I like made a quick turn.
Yeah.
We pulled in, and it was like empty. Oh my and I was like,
That gives me chills, dude. That's
I know.
crazy.
It was really weird.
Like, so meant to be.
Yeah. And I knew a girl in that building, so I've chatted with her a bunch of times, and I was like, hey, what's going on with this space? Like, and it was a whole thing. The girl isn't there anymore, but one of the people who's in another suite took over that room, and she was getting ready. She's like, but she hasn't been here in months. All she's done is painted it, because she's had it for like 4 months at this point. And she's like, I don't know if she's going to keep it. And so she's like, oh, I'll message her. The lady was like, oh, actually, yeah, I'll just give you it if you want it. Like, let me take over her lease.
The craziest, like...
It was so weird. And it came out of nowhere, because it was just like one of those, we're in the car talking conversations, and it turned
It's just like
into
a God moment. It's just like a meant to be moment.
Yeah. And
that you couldn't have searched it. You couldn't have found it on Craigslist or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like a being awake in your life type of situation.
Yeah. And I honestly think it was meant to be. And I needed that full circle moment of being greedy and being like, no, it's too small. It's not good enough. seeing that none of the other options work out and like coming back and realizing, no, this one's going to be comfortable. This one will be good for growth. Like,
Yep.
even if I move on from this
Good
space
for
at
growth.
some point.
I like that.
Yeah, it just, it all worked out. And then the lady gave me the keys. We switched the lease over and it just,
It's all, and now that's
Yeah.
Lovely Salon. Mm-hmm. And where's that at?
Colvin Tinkenverde. We could like literally.
Oh my God, that is such a freaking good location.
I know.
What a beautiful view, and you guys are around so much stuff.
Yeah.
And where are you at? Are you on the east side? Do you live on the east side still?
No, I live like way in Vale.
Oh, okay, deep
Yeah.
east. Yeah.
I live far.
I mean, so kind of close to you. I mean, well, and then you
Yeah.
have to think about your guests, right?
Yeah.
So that is amazing. Okay, we're gonna take another break, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltoalan.com. Again, that's selltoalan.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Calling all families. The Marana Pumpkin Patch is your ticket to fall fun for everyone. From toddlers to grandparents, we've got it all. Jumping pillows, a diesel train, a super slide, and more. Kids will love our farm animals, while adults will love our famous corn maze. And don't forget our 70-acre pumpkin patch from Post Farms. Marana Pumpkin Patch, where families make unforgettable fall memories. Tickets available now at maranapumpkinpatch.com.
Jeez, man, yeah, your story is incredible. Okay, so you just found your new space. You're in it. That lady, you guys switched everything over, which was
Yeah.
that a pretty speedy process, would you say?
Yeah. Had it done in like a week and a half.
And what was the square? I think I asked you this already, but what was the square footage on the new place?
That one's like 700.
Okay, still huge, right? Like, do you feel
From a bedroom, yeah.
Now that you're in there, like it's like a yeah, from a bedroom. That's exactly right. That's what I'm in right now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty spacious. And how many stylists do you have in there?
We have 2 stylists and a co-stylist and a salon manager.
How did you hire your salon manager? Like, what kind of person did you look for?
She was actually new, or like I knew her beforehand,
Oh, I
and
see.
so we would always message each other because she owns a boutique, and so we would always message back and forth like,
Oh,
"Oh, this business thing. What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Let me just pay you and we can talk." Like,
You have a lot of knowledge.
yeah. So that's like how
That's amazing.
we ended up getting her on.
Uh-huh. And your stylists are commissioned.
Yeah.
So now, in the craziness of like finding a space, are you thinking about hiring on people prior to getting your space ready, or did you get Lovely Salon, the space solidified, everything, up and going, and then hire, or how did you do that?
Yeah, I got it all up and ready first because
That way you'd have something to show them.
Yeah, and my other 2 stylists, they were co-stylists and they had just finished school and they were starting to take clients, and we were literally at capacity in the suite. I couldn't give them more days, and that's never what I wanted. So, and I knew it would be fine when we moved in there. So we just moved in and just kind of kept doing things how we were. They started taking on clients, and we were able to give them a full schedule just because we had the flexibility now. And they got so booked and busy so fast.
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, they've been booked and busy this entire year, which is cool.
Yay.
So we like didn't need to. I like wanted it to be up and ready. I wanted to make sure it was perfect and like make sure we had all of our ducks in a row before hiring. We didn't need to financially.
Yeah.
We were fine. So I wanted to get all our ducks in a row, and I wanted to make sure like my small business loan that I took out, I was like, I need to pay that off before I hire anybody, and get it done and be like on an even playing field in here.
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah.
How did you go about your hiring process? Did you do it through Instagram, or did you know these girls prior to opening?
The two that I have now? They had reached out on Instagram beforehand asking, because I had posted that I had a co-stylist, but when they were reaching out, I didn't need anyone. And so then it was coming to an end with my current assistant. So I like reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, and I have everyone submit a video, like, introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about you.
I love that. That's so good.
A lot of people hate it, but I love it because you can.
I'd be like, I'm Sydney. No.
No. And so it's so fun to see because you get to kind of know them without having to like, I hate wasting people's time and interviewing them. So like, let me get to know you through a video. And that's how it was
And then
everywhere
we'll
I
see
worked.
if we want to do an actual
Yeah.
interview.
And they
That's
were
very
both
smart.
so cute. And so I interviewed both of them. And then I literally sat there and I was like, I only need one. What do I do? Like, and I was like, we'll hire both. And I was like, we'll take a gamble. And I brought them both on and it worked out great.
Dude, that is
Yeah.
so cool. How many shampoo bowls do you guys have in there for all three of you?
Just two.
Two.
Yeah. But we rotate. So
Yeah.
it hasn't become an issue yet.
Yeah. So where do you plan to take Lovely Salon after this? Are you enjoying this? Is Michaela already thinking 3 months ahead and you're...
Oh, I've already thought when my lease ends in 2026, I need to start looking for a new space in the start of this upcoming new year
Yep.
for the build out. I can't not think ahead. I was thinking ahead before we even moved into the space.
You
and
were
I've
born a business owner.
I just
you
keep
have that
going.
mindset.
Yeah. So I've thought about it. I'm trying to enjoy where I'm at now, but I also do know I want to grow and I want bigger and like we want more space. And we had like extra cabinets before. We're full again, so we filled it up.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, my goal is to have a bigger space where just a big comfy spot. You know, I've thought about buying my own building. That gets a little crazy. So I don't know if I'll go to that extent, but I want it to be spacious and comfortable.
Right.
I want to be able to host education. I want it to be like an all-encompassing place.
Yep.
And I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but I know she'll be big.
Yeah.
I want it to be
she
big.
Gonna be large.
Yeah. I
Large
want to have
and
my
in
own
charge.
little office in there, cute
Yes!
little desk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
And we do like online orders and stuff, so I want to have a spot where we can fulfill stuff and
Good.
I want just like a big comfortable spot to where we're not like in close quarters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know where. Well, I'm like keeping an eye out on buildings because I know it'll need to build out, and I'm gonna do the whole shebang next time. Next time we'll be spending big bucks, and it'll be beautiful.
That's amazing. Well, your salon is so beautiful now. So
thank you.
You're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Now, what do you feel like it takes in order to sustain a successful salon?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think you have to be willing to like admit when you're wrong or admit when things need changes and be adaptive. And from the beginning, I know I'm not perfect. And like I've taken everything I've learned from different places and I've put together my perfect little mesh of what I think is good. But being willing to adapt and move with the changes, and every person is going to be so different too. So like having to like move with that change and like being okay to change, you know? It hasn't been easy. It's really one of those hard journeys to do, and no one talks about it too. Whenever you see a salon owner, you see like, oh, this glamorous lifestyle.
Yeah.
You don't see the back end. You don't see the crying. You don't see all the things like
Crying, yes.
being financially scared. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to almost be willing to keep going
Yeah.
and like see the light at the end of the tunnel.
What keeps you motivated during those times where you're like, ugh, I don't know about this. What have I gotten myself into? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated and focused?
Honestly, just being grateful. Like,
I love that answer. God, I love that answer.
I've been doing a lot of thinking on it recently and like being grateful for where I'm at and like what I have and like this is what I've always wanted and why would I give it up? I can always improve. I can make changes. I can do like all the adjustments here and there to make it better. So why would I give up? Like, and I've also put so much time into it now. Like, and I feel like I always see the light at the end of the tunnel. I always have days where I like will be dramatic and like sit at home by myself and be like,
Burn the place down.
yeah, just scratch
I'm
it
not
all.
doing it.
We're done. I'm gonna go do a little fun job.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, this is what you've always wanted. Like, keep going.
Yeah.
And there's a statistic. This is so silly, but there's literally a statistic that small businesses don't make it past 5 years. And
I've heard that.
yeah, it's like 75%. It's like a high number. I won't be a part of that statistic.
No, you won't.
I'm like fighting.
Yeah, you won't be a part of that statistic.
But I also want to be better and live with like every little thing we do. So if we need to make adjustments, I'm so open to that because I want it to be like a career place for people. I'm not in it to just own a salon for like funsies and be like, yeah, I own a salon. Like I've wanted a place that like I want to be at with benefits, like a real career for people where they can have a good life, you know? But like if you're passionate about hair and not owning a business, you should be able to work at a place where you can have benefits, enjoy your job, come in and do the hair and what you love about the job. And then that's kind of it. You don't have to like learn how to run a business, be booth rental if you don't want any of that.
Yeah.
So that's always what I've wanted to create. So with that, does take a lot of feedback, and I've tried to be as receptive as possible to the feedback.
So now all of those responsibilities as far as like healthcare, you know, all that back end stuff when it comes to employment, is that stuff that you are in charge of, or does your salon manager kind of take the reins on that one?
I do a lot of that stuff. We don't have healthcare. We do have 401ks, paid time off. I do all of
paid
the
time off. Good for you. Yeah.
I tried to build that in so that you can have a paid vacation every year. And the longer you work with us, the longer paid time off you get.
That's great.
As of now, I manage it all. She's newly into the manager role, so we're like in the process of like converting her things that I do. I'm so type A and a control freak, so I'm like having to slowly be
It's
like,
kind of how you have to be, though, to be honest.
I know, and I get so nervous, and I like,
You're like, just let me do it. Just let me do it.
I'll do
Get
it.
out of here. Let me do it.
But when they do it, it's fine. Like even if it's not the exact way I do it, as long as the end result's the same, it's okay.
It's like you have to be type A to a certain point, but then also be willing to delegate and be okay with delegating responsibilities.
Yeah.
So what's your bar, or what's your marker? What do you use to make basically like check that your salon is doing well or as well as you want it to do? Like, are you comparing your numbers to maybe like a salon that you admire, or not that you could like access their numbers, but like where's your bar?
We have like a level system, and we have like certain metrics lined out for things. I keep track of monthly, like what our profits are and like all of that. It's so weird because obviously it's a business. So you're like, a business has to make money. That's the whole reason why anyone ever has businesses. So I make sure we're consecutively growing and we're not losing money. But I'm not like,
we got to push on retail. You're not like trying to.
Yeah, like we'll have metrics, and if metrics aren't being hit, like sometimes you do have to be the one to be like, hey, like let's do a little bit more, you know, like we got to get you up there so that the business isn't losing money. But I'm like, I'm not in it for my own financial gain in this moment. Like I'm not in it for that. Like, but so I keep track and make sure that we are consecutively growing. So I'll set quarterly sales goals and stuff that we need to meet or exceed. But it's not like it's there, but it's not like what I like live on, you know?
Yeah. That's, I think that when you think about being a salon owner, things like that can be really, like the numbers and stuff like that can be really scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when you've been an employee and lived in salon life and kind of been like turned off in a way by that stuff from salon owners. It can be like, oh God, I don't want to be that person. Am I signing up to be that person now?
And it's hard to find the battle because when you own a business, like numbers do have to get met, and like we can't be like slacking in the months. Like the numbers do have to be met. So you have to be like that to a certain degree, but I'm in the numbers for you. Like,
yeah, because if you're like, if we all do well, like you're doing well if I'm doing well, and vice versa.
Yeah, like I don't want you to hit these numbers. Like there's a certain threshold where it's like, okay, now like you're costing us money, but like, and we've never hit that point, but like, I want you to do better. I want you to be able to take the extra vacation, be able to like have the extra money, and like I want you to feel financially comfortable, and like that's where I'm trying to get you, and like I'm in it to support you and get you to the income you want to make. I'm not in it to like for you to make me more income.
Right.
You know.
Right. So if and when your girls are ready to pivot out of salon life and onto their own, do you have like an exit strategy for them, or a way that you're going to send them off so it's not like that toxic, it can be toxic. And that's been such a tone in our industry for so long. I feel like there's a lot of beauty industry professionals now that are salon owners and, all of that, who are trying to break that.
Yeah.
What is your plan?
So I've had 3 people leave, and I try to be as open as possible. We're not a good fit for everybody. It's just like
Right.
clients. Like
That's right.
it's the same thing, and I try to think of it in that same respect of like, you may not have loved the way I did your color. It's nothing against me, but if you find someone who you feel like you mesh better with, that's okay.
Yeah.
And same thing for your career. You should be happy every day when you come to work. Like
Right.
you should enjoy where you're working, enjoy the people you're surrounding yourself with. And if that's not here, I'm sorry.
Right.
And like, but if you can go find somewhere where you'll fit in better and like you feel like you mesh better with, and like it's more what you want, go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
We haven't had anyone leave on like bad
Bad
terms.
term. That's good.
So-
That's good. And I'm sure it's not always going to be like that,
Yeah.
but like in general, like, just sending them, or even if they're not trying to like go find another salon,
Yeah.
but maybe just kind of go off on their own. Like, is it like hey, okay, you've got this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here for you if you need anything. Like,
Yeah.
it was great working with you, that type of
Yeah,
situation.
that's how I always wanted to be. And I think those things, especially being in the position of the boss when people leave,
Because it's hard because you're losing money. You know what I mean? You have to be like, I wish you well, but then you're also like, fuck, like, now I
Yeah.
gotta fill that spot,
but I do think it's a choice you make. Like you choose, and I'm a girl. I love to gossip, but it's like you do have to. So like being a boss and being a girl, I'm like, you have to make that active choice to wish you well. Like, and I don't wish them any harm, but like I'm trying to be so mindful because I know like I feel like the 2 places I left, like I didn't intend to leave on bad terms, but it just kind of happened that way.
Yeah,
And I didn't want that to. And I've like rekindled things with both of them.
Good. Oh, good. That's
So I'm like,
great.
no hard feelings. And like, so being the boss and being the person on the other end, I've been that girl. I've been the girl who left and was like sad about how things ended. And so I want to try really hard, no matter
That's incredible.
what it is, to like be the good boss for you. Like,
That's
and if you
amazing.
need anything, I'm always here. Like, I obviously can't give you my secret sauce, but I'm
Yeah.
here to help. And
Yes,
like, and even with
100%.
stuff like this, like, I want to educate others on opening a business because no one helps me. I like winged it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's one of my main goals with this podcast is to eliminate the fear with knowledge, because fear is, whenever you make a decision based out of fear, like it's never going to be honored. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You need to have the information so that way you can eliminate that fear and then kind of go forth with a clear mind and, make a decision based off of all of the information you've gathered. And speaking of that, to end the time that we have together, do you have any advice for people looking to make that pivot into salon ownership?
Just do it. Like,
Rip the damn Band-Aid.
literally. You just have to go for it. I think if you hold yourself back from it, you could sit here and what if this, what if that, and like never get out of it. But if you're not happy at a salon, go. The grass sometimes isn't always greener, but like you have to know that. You have to like get out there and like find what's for you. And like not everywhere is for everybody. Like, and if you want to open a salon, why wait? Like, don't sit around and wait for it. Like, do it. Talk to people. I've learned that so many salon owners in this time of day, and even people are so open and willing to chat. Like,
It is so true, which I love.
it's not competitive. There's enough clients to go around. There's enough stylists to go around. Like, I don't own anybody. Like, you don't own anybody. Like, we can all chit chat and like share advice. And like, just because I tell you what I did doesn't mean it's going to work the same for you either. Because
That's fair.
I've tried that.
That's a good point.
And it didn't work like the same way.
Yeah.
So
Well, because nobody's Michaela and nobody is Sydney.
Yeah.
So, we can both go forth on our own adventure, but it's going to be completely different experiences. And your guests are going to have completely different experiences. Like, there is enough. If being in this industry has taught me anything, it's that competitiveness does not need to exist because
No.
there is enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Who is meant for me is meant for me, and who God has for you is meant for you.
Yeah.
And that is it.
And I love that about our industry. Like all of my clients get along so well with me.
I love
and we're like BFFs. But then I've had clients who have moved over to the other girls in the salon and I'm like, you two just mesh so much better, even conversation wise.
And I love that you just said that. That is so good. I love that
Yeah.
you do that.
And I go to whoever you're gonna be more comfortable with. Like you're spending a pretty penny while you're with us. Like enjoy your time. And if that's not with us, that's okay. Like
That's okay. Well, and that also like you just exude so much confidence when you say things like that. It's like, no, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to be good. You're spending money that you worked very hard to earn.
Yeah.
You should be getting your every penny's worth. You
Yeah.
know?
And like be happy. And the same thing as a stylist working somewhere, like you spend just as much time in the salon as you do with your family. Like if not more.
yeah, you're right.
You should enjoy it. Why spend your days being miserable?
Gosh.
Like just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I waited around so long when I didn't love being somewhere that like now I'm like, why would I do that? Like that was like 3 years ago at this point, and I'm like, how has it already been 3 years? So imagine if I would have just stayed and been miserable for 3 years.
Somebody's listening to this right now and you're miserable at your job.
They're typing their resignation.
See ya.
Bye.
You need to make that pivot. Whoever's listening to this
Yeah.
and needs to make that jump, I hope that you do. I hope that you rip the Band-Aid. Thank you so much, Michaela, for
Thank you for
being on
having
today.
me.
This was such a special conversation.
I
I'm
love
so,
chatting
so,
with you.
so happy to have gotten to talk to you. Thank you for tuning into the Social Avenue podcast. We'll see you next time. Dude.